Hey guys, I'm going to do problem number 7 because there are actually 2 ways to do this, and I'm going to show you both ways. So the first way that a lot of people are doing number 7 is they're understanding that in row 1 there are 15 seats. So they're setting it up recursively, which is fine. You can do this. So you could say that in row 1 there are 15 seats. And you could say that in every row that comes after the previous row, you'll just take the number of seats in the row before it, and you'll add 2. And I can show you that this works because if I were to try R sub 2, so how many seats are in the second row, I would need to use R sub 1 and add 2. R sub 1 is 15 plus 2, so this is working. We're adding 2 seats every row, right? And then the next time I used it for row 3, I would use my row 2 seats, and I would add 2. This is fine. The issue is that you're going to have your 15, then you're going to have your 17, and then you're going to have your 19, and you're going to keep adding these up until you've added them up 30 times, which is going to take you a very long time. So I want to show you the other way to do this. You can use a summation, which is way quicker. This will work, but you could use a summation as well. Remember, a summation looks like this, and it's where we're saying that we're going to take every number from one number to the next, plug it into some function, and then add up all the results, right? So we know I want to add up all my results, and I know that I want to start in the first row and end in the 30th row. And here's how this works. We know that 15 seats belong in the very first row, right? And we know that every row after that is dependent on the row before it, but the initial row was 15 seats. In the second row, I'm adding 2 seats. The way I want to look at this now that I'm determining that it's a summation is I want to look at this as 15 plus some number every time. If it's the first row, I want to add a 2. If it's the second row, I want that number to be, or if it's the second row, I want that number to be a 2. If it's the third row, I'm going to add another 2, so then it would be a 4. If it's the fourth row, it's going to be a 6. We're counting up by 2s here. So what I'm getting at is that what we want here is for this to be multiples of 2, right? 15 plus 2 times some number. Where you want to be careful here is you want to make sure that you don't put just n in here. If you put n there, then that means for the first row, if I plug in a 1, I'll have 15 plus 2 times 1, which is 17. And that's not true because we know that in row 1, there are not 17 seats, there are 15 seats. So we have to make sure that we account for that mistake. We have to say that in any given row, n, we can find that by doing 15 plus 2 times n minus 1. So let's see if that works. Let's test it for row 1. 15 plus 2 times 1 minus 1. Remember, we want this to come out to 15. 1 minus 1 is 0, so we end up with 15 plus 2 times 0. 2 times 0 is 0, and if you add that to 15, you get 15. And then in row 2, this would work because we're going to add only 1, 2, because this number will come out to be a 1. In row 3, this number will come out to be a 2, so we'll add 2 2s. In row 4, we'll add 3 2s, and so on. So this will work. If you use this function, and it's best to put this all in parentheses, that's the whole function right there. Now you can use your calculator, and you can just plug in that function to the calculator. So I'll walk you through the steps in case you are sitting with a graphing calculator. You're going to hit the math button, and you're going to scroll down to the 0 option, which has the word summation. Then you're just going to plug in x equals 1 for the bottom of the summation. You plug in a 30 for the top of it, and inside that parentheses there, you'll make sure that you put 15 plus 2 times x minus 1. Remember, we're using x because in our calculator, our variables are x's. And you should get the number 1320. So 1,320 seats. Now, if you did the other way, right here, this would work pretty well, but you'd have to be able to figure out what each seat is, and that's where you can see that it's going to take a long time. So this is much quicker. This will also work. I recommend that if you were running into a question like this on the Common Core, and you forget how to use the summation because generating this equation is tricky, skip it and come back to it and do it last, right? Spend the remaining 15 minutes generating this if you have to. But save those problems that have just a lot of work that you don't know the shortcut for the end, and then you can take as much time as you need then. All right? Good luck on the rest of this, guys. I will see you all tomorrow.